All right, we are live on Wildcard Wednesday. I'm getting it early. I'm getting it started early for a variety of reasons. I didn't get a chance to schedule this beforehand, and I didn't really put out any notices. But that's Wildcard. It's Wildcard Day. It's Wildcard Wednesday. At least it's here today on a Wednesday instead of pushed back to a Thursday like I thought I might have to do. So here we are, number 5, Wildcard Wednesday. We're getting started at 8:30 Central today. Normally, I try to start around 10. Hey, what's up, Steven? How we doing today? Um, I'm thinking about changing the scheduling around for Wildcard Wednesday with between the way that the sun sets so early now, which changes what I can get done outside versus here in the shop. That kind of changes. It's MR2 scroll. It looks like it's time to ban him again, like I did last time. Fat fingered the crap out of that one, and I'm glad he seems to have forgiven me for that. Maybe we'll get joined by some bots. I don't know. But again, Wildcard Wednesday, I may switch it up to get closer in sync with swimming with the pontoon and go to like an 8 o'clock stream instead of the 10 o'clock or the 9. I'm not sure. I'm working on it. As I do more of these streams throughout the week and get a schedule, I will be doing them on the days that I plan. I just have to get a really good schedule around it. It's one of those things where it just kind of pops up and I'm not always ready for it. Today I was not ready. One of the things that made me not ready is it is the holiday times and the mail is running very slow. 734. 734 is not bad. So yeah, you're out to the east, unless I'm backwards. Anyways, so the mail is running slow. Nothing today. I'm waiting on a ton of parts to finish up a bunch of systems. And of course, I also had some triggers that I ordered so we could take a look at them, which was, I was hoping that by now they would have made it for at least Wildcard Wednesday. So maybe I could do like a top down thing. I know yesterday I recorded a couple tip videos. I uploaded one yesterday and then I uploaded one today. They came out pretty good. Focus isn't exactly what I wanted. I'm still working on that setup. It was so much easier when all I was doing was using the laptop camera. It seemed like use a real camera and then it just all falls apart. And I don't know. Arizona. See, yeah, I'm backwards. Why did I go back? Yeah, that is backwards. I'm thinking East Coast, it would be later. I'll go with that. Maybe I'm just retarded. I don't know. So, like I said, I had other things planned for this Wild Card Wednesday other than just babbling. I do have one for sure thing I want to talk about so that I can break it off into another like a normal video. And that's something I get asked quite regularly. And actually here lately it seems to be ever since I did the drop-ins, it's become even more. Jesse, no promises, Jesse. You start bringing up your Chevy Volt or your hate of flashlights, we may have to ban you. I will accept nudes. I'm just saying. Of you. Just, you know. Anyways, so my plan is to first start off talking about something that I get questions, and then we'll go into kind of just general things. I might talk about springs, like striker springs. One of the things that feet pictures. Yes, there we go. It's a Spark, not a Volt. I'm sorry. There, it's still a Chevy. It's not a Mopar. It doesn't fall apart like my Mopars, which of course I worked on one of those today, replaced a window motor and regulator and all that good stuff. That was a lot of fun. And being an aftermarket part, it didn't quite fit like it should, but a zip tie took care of that. And it's an old beater Dodge Durango. So as long as the window kind of rolls up and down, dogs ride back there anyways. So before I get started with that, I do want to bring up one company, and I brought them up a few weeks ago, but I'm going to do it again because they're about to drop a new they're Generation 2 compensators for Canics. But I am going to sweet talk him into sending me one for a Glock, and I'll modify it. I like the way it looks. I like the design, so I'm interested in putting it into one of my Glock builds. And I do have an old Canic. I need to upgrade to something a little bit newer. I actually have one of the old style TP9DAs, the one that had the little button on top of the slide for the decocker, a decocker on a striker fired gun. Go figure. But it was cheap, and that was one of the beauties of Canics back in the day. They're a little bit more expensive, but they're still, for what you get, it's kind of like buying a Kia in a way, before they all started blowing up the engines. You got a lot for your money, and that's still kind of true. I like Canics. I'd prefer a Canic over a Smith and Wesson, Scott, if you're there. So anyways, he's coming out with his Generation 2 compensators, and that would be Disruptive Defense. DisruptiveDefense.com, or you can find him on Instagram under Disruptive Defense. The owner's name is Brandon, and he should be joining me soon on one of these live streams. We've been working together for a good while, and it'll be an interesting conversation because he does his machining in-house. He does a lot of the different processes in-house. He is a Cerakote master, and that's really how I met him, was through his Cerakote work. So that would just be a great guest to have on. So if you get a chance, go check them out. If you're a Canic guy, even more so. They've got a lot of different parts. Mag releases, slide stops, I think mag wells. I could be wrong. Steven with her Kia had an engine replaced, then told not to park near her house because her car might go up in flames. Kia in the last 3 to 5 years has definitely gotten rid of the low dollar Honda reputation that they had for about 10 years. A couple of years ago, well, I guess my girlfriend had a Kia Soul, the little second generation Kia Soul in alien green. Neat looking color. It was an okay little car. Her old minivan, her brother blew it up when he borrowed it, and we got a Kia Soul. It was a neat little vehicle. Kind of noisy on the top end, but it was all right. I didn't have, for the price that it was, I didn't have any real problems. The dealership sucked, but that seems to be a Kia Hyundai type thing. They're just terrible. It probably would have lasted quite a bit longer, but we then stepped up to, we stepped up to a Jeep, which you might say is a little bit less reliable in some instances. A little Jeep Renegade, which is just an Italian Jeep. And that's an interesting little vehicle. I think we've had that one for about 3 years, and it seems to do pretty well. We're overall pretty happy with it for just a runabout. When I don't feel like driving the old Durango or the Challenger, I'll jump in that Jeep, and it does everything I need. So, and it keeps the dogs out of the Challenger because they just don't go in there. Anyways, got off on cars. I am bad about that. That's why I need to start the car channel back up, because cars are another thing I can just blabber about. So, all right. Before I get into answering questions and a lot of other things, the main topic that I want to get through real quick is how to choose which of the Tactical Pontoon systems are for you. All right. I basically have 3 different levels. The first level is the drop-in. That is what I consider a component level trigger. I chose the best components that work together for the right price with the right trigger shoe, but I don't do all of my secret modifications to them. They're a great budget option, and they beat the high-end drop-in trigger systems out there. There's a reason why I put these components together. They work really well. So the drop-in systems, excuse me, the Peacemaker series, whether it's the 3.0, the 3.5, or the 4.5, each one denoted by the weight rating or weight class that they fall into, and I mean that pretty much makes it easy. And then there's the TWP system, which is a 4.5. So you've got your drop-ins. From a component aspect, these are better than any of the drop-ins on the market. Okay, they are the like I've said before, I did not plan on doing drop-ins. It's not really where my heart lies. And when I did decide to do it, I said I am going to make the best drop-ins possible. And I did. Peacemaker, the TWP system. They are excellent. That's step one. The next step is the competition series. I have a couple in that series. That would be the world famous Excommunicado system. In that trigger system, you get great components, but then you get what I'm known for, which is a high level of tune, modifications to the trigger bar, the connector, the trigger block housing, and just an overall better finish. It is the competition series, and it comes with the Excommunicado trigger shoe, which is world class in and of itself, especially when it comes to looks. In that system, so sad I missed the equalizer. Glad my Peacemaker is coming through, though. Peacemaker's great. Trust me, you didn't lose anything except for maybe just a little bit of looks. One day when trigger shoes become more available from Boogeyman Customs, I'll be able to bring them back into the drop-ins, but as of right now, just not so much. So the competition series also has the complete kit, which it comes with, and this is for generation 3 and 4, 2 and P80, which comes with striker spring, striker, safety plunger, the safety plunger spring. That's a complete kit. That is also in the competition line. Also in that line is the Excommunicado Tactical, which is a heavier weight trigger, closer to factory, but with a heavy duty striker spring. It comes with the Marine spring cups or Navy spring cups for your striker spring, and is just meant for kind of a heavy duty EDC trigger that also has the really short reset, and of course the Boogeyman trigger shoe. So those three fall in the competition system and are level 2. Those are the level 2 triggers. If you're looking for something that you can shoot competitively, you want something that's fairly light and has that extremely quick reset, and all except for by highest end tricks, that's where the Excommunicado system or level 2 competition system comes in. That's step 2. Okay, that's what I'm mainly known for, is that. Then above that, in step 3, is the Leonidas system. The Leonidas system consists of 2 triggers. Well, actually, it actually consists of 3 triggers. Let me take that back. You've got the Vader, which starts out at a lower price point because it comes with the polymer trigger shoe, which is the Overwatch Polydat trigger shoe. That's how I was able to bring the price down lower, where people could step into a Leonidas system for a lower price. It has everything that the Leonidas system has, except for it's a polymer trigger shoe. That's how I was able to bring the price down to that point. Then you have the Leonidas Peacemaker, which is a full Leonidas system with the Peacemaker trigger shoe. That's it. Then you have the King Daddy, which is the same price as the Peacemaker Leonidas. That would be the standard Excommunicado Leonidas. Again, same. They all three have the same workings, just a different trigger shoe. Now, with the Leonidas, You are looking at everything that the competition system has, as well as no take up. It is at the wall each and every shot. When you release it for reset, it's there. You can take your finger all the way off the trigger and it's still sitting at the wall ready for that next shot. So you can shoot that thing extremely fast. The thing about the Leonidas is to do that safely. And that's where the extra work comes in, because removing all of that pre-travel inherently in a Glock can make it unsafe. However, I go through and change the geometry of the vertical extension on the safety plunger so that it doesn't touch. I go in and I extend the drop safety ledge that the cruciform rides on so that it cannot drop until the trigger is pulled. And then I modify the tab on the safety tab on the trigger shoe itself so that the trigger still maintains that safety, because normally if you remove that much travel out of the trigger, that safety tab will be captured by the frame. I actually have to cut that safety tab, and depending on the generation and depending on the frame, trigger guards, I'm telling you, there's a reason why I'm big on the size of the trigger guard hole. This is why, because each different frame is a little bit different, and to maintain safety, I have to cut each and every generation and different frame a little bit different on that safety tab. So that is what goes into a Leonidas. That's why it's top dog, and it's not cheap, but it's worth it, especially the Vader system. I'm kind of kicking myself for making the Vader system so cheap for Black Friday. I've got a lot of those to build, and I did not make a lot of money on those at all. It's kind of anyways, you guys don't even know that, but that's the breakdown. Those are the three levels: drop in, competition system, Leonidas. So if you fall within there, that's the answer. And as always, I can be reached here. I can be reached on Instagram, tactical_pontoon, or on the website, tacticalpontoon.com. Shoot me an email and I will answer any questions. So that out of the way, let's get going on Wildcard Wednesday. Again, like I said, my original. All right, good, MR2 scroll. It looks like I answered questions. Good. I was kind of off the cuff, but it's things that I'm often asked, and so maybe a little bit long-winded, maybe not as simple as I wanted it to be, but so be it. That's kind of the breakdown of how they all come out. Like I said, I had planned on at least having a trigger shoe or two from other companies that we would take a look at tonight, but the mail being like it is right now, they did not show up yet. I'm also waiting for a ton of parts, as I said, to finish up quite a few different orders. Pardon. Made some amazing stew. It's a little bit chilly in the air, so I made some amazing beef and leftover turkey stew. It was quite good. I shared that with you orally, just orally, AUR, however you spell it. Anyways, guys, so I don't have anything directly to show you aside from, of course, the beautiful Trigger Jedi stickers. If you haven't got one already, get one on order. I got plenty of them. I will be sending out with different orders. I am going to be doing a contest with the Trigger Jedi stickers. I want to see the craziest place a person can put one of these. Okay? The person that, and I'm going to start this one basically in December, which is coming up, like within a day or so. I will put this in the next newsletter that I send out, and I'll put it on Instagram. this contest to, I know, Jesse, I know that it could get me into trouble. I feel like I'm excited to see some of the places that these are going to go, but I'm also a little bit scared when people like you join the fray. That being said, I've seen one on a Black Hawk helicopter already. I'll post that on Instagram. Actually, I have one of those pictures posted on Instagram inside a Black Hawk helicopter. That's the first one. So, however, I'm not going to count that one because he's a douche, and I hope he's listening. Scott, if you're listening, that one doesn't count. It's not December yet. So I will be starting that contest. The winner of that contest, I want to do placements. I haven't completely decided how I'm going to, like. I'll probably do 3 different levels. My favorite will win a trigger system, a drop-in Peacemaker, either a 3.5 or a 4.5, maybe a train with purpose. And if it blows me away, maybe we'll do a Leonidas. We will see. But at the very least, it will be one of the drop-in trigger systems. And like second place, we will do like a t-shirt, a TacticalPontoon t-shirt. And in third place, maybe some more decals or something. I'm gonna figure it out. I've got basically a day to figure that out. And I want to see something crazy. Maybe not too crazy there, Jesse. But that'll run for December. That should give it enough time for people to order decals. I've got a bunch of or stickers. I've got a bunch of them out there, and that'll give people time to really get something crazy going on, for better or worse. So, yeah. So that's what we'll do with the stickers. Got another design coming in. It's pretty cool. But I'll show you guys that when they show up. And then I've got another design and got some really good stuff because I was tired of having boring stickers. And it's time to change that, and I have. Then we're gonna that will then transfer over into t-shirts once I figure out exactly how and where I want to place myself on your body. The 365, not really. Like I do have the spring kit. I had one in the shop when they first came out. I developed the spring kit for it. Just I knew it was going to be a very popular pistol just because of how many rounds that it held in its magazine for its size. It just felt really cheap to me, and it didn't interest me enough that I didn't feel like going any farther with it. Same with the P320. I actually have a prototype trigger for it. A lot of things happened, and of course 2020 happened, and I haven't gone any farther with that prototype. Maybe eventually the 365, I'll do something a little bit more to it, but as of right now, make one with Jedi in a neon. It could happen. It could that could easily happen. I had an idea the other night for a picture with the neon, and I may still do that and post that one on Instagram. It'll be kind of funny. Gotta fix that poor car. Just staring at it, I'm like, God, I miss that thing. But yeah, the 365, I always felt that it was cheap feeling. It just feels kind of cheap in my hand, and I didn't get too excited about it. I'll revisit it eventually, especially now that I'm a little bit more full, now that I'm full-time with it, and I can maybe break away from just the Glock stuff. I have plans for a CZP-10 trigger, just kind of a kit. Really, that one's a good trigger right out of the box, but obviously a flat aluminum trigger shoe, and a polished striker and some springs makes it better. Like I said, I've got one of those. I was really excited about the CZ P10 when it launched. It just hasn't really gained any legs, and that's why I haven't gone too far with it. It's an excellent pistol right out of the box, and maybe that's why it doesn't have as big a following, is just because of how good it is just right out of the box. And they got rid of some of the initial issues with the mag release. I know that the one I have is one of the originals that's got kind of a stiff mag release. I it really isn't bad, but there were enough people that they did change it to one that it's not ambidextrous until you switch it over to the other side. Um, and then they also what they do, the other thing they did with those. Anyways, they got, like I said, P10 unfortunately really has not taken off like I hoped it would. I really had high hopes for the CZP10, but the market just is not really there. The double-sided trigger bar gives you so much leverage to break the trigger. It does. It's a really neat system. Um, I like it. I like the CZP10. I just didn't get a lot of interest in doing those. And even though this is a passion of mine, there is a certain aspect of how much time can I put into something that's not going to make the money back for me. Uh, so, so I've done some really cool stuff with them, and then as getting parts for them was another thing. Like if I could get a hold of trigger bars for them as easily as a Glock trigger bar, it'd be a whole new story. But parts for those are not as easy as getting hold of a Glock. Hell, I actually lost the spring for the slide lock lever on mine, and now I haven't looked in a couple of years, but at the time it was pretty much impossible to get a hold of. I'm sure it's actually pretty easy now to get a hold. I would hope. I don't know. So that one actually doesn't get shot a whole bunch just because it will lock back pretty much each and every time. Uh, two trigger springs. Yeah, it's a good system, and it really does. It's a good one out of the box. Um, it shoots flat. The thing about the P10 is it really is a flat shooting pistol, just right out of the. You don't need a compensator. You don't need ported. The grip feels really good. I know the grip itself is a little bit aggressive right out of the box. I sent mine. I stippled my well. I actually laid down silicon carbide on mine originally. I did a not so good job, and um, Chris Donna or no, Chris uh, Donahue Donahue Dynamics went and laid down his Starry Night pattern on it. He was able to clean the grip off and lay his Starry Night pattern on it, and it's amazing. It feels great, and it looks great. Probably could Cerakote it so it matches the slide that I had custom machined. But again, the CZP10C, it's awesome. Awesome shooter right out of the box, but unfortunately, it just really didn't grab it. It just didn't get the audience like I was hoping it would. Before we go on, if any of you guys are just, if you could just hit that like button, the algorithm really likes that, and that keeps me going. And now I'm going to remind you guys again, or at least I hope I'm going to remind you. Let's get these likes up. Angry Sarge, how we doing, man? Glad you made it. I saw you guys did a stream earlier. I was going to listen to it, but I got busy doing some other things, and I didn't get back. I didn't have my earbuds in at the time, so I'm gonna have to go back and watch it. Steven says, I got rid of mine. It was cool. I remember looking for extra OEM parts, could only find a couple in the US. Yes, extremely hard to find parts at the time. I haven't checked here lately. I know Cajun Gunworks here in Louisiana. They're big on CZ. They had a few parts, but they didn't have what I needed. And when I was really looking at doing the CZP10, they had a trigger and they wouldn't work with me on pricing. They just wanted me to buy it outright. And it was a decent trigger. I was just going to support a local business, but they didn't want to work with me. So, that's just part of it. It happens. Not everybody's going to work with Tactical Pontoon. Sometimes it takes them a little while. I know When I was first starting out, Steel City Arsenal pretty much ignored me at the beginning because I was nobody. I'm still kind of nobody, but they didn't want to talk to me, and so I left them alone for a while, and a couple things happened, and they actually reached out to me, and we got to talking. Really good guys at Steel City Arsenal. Jonathan, the owner, he and I actually need to call him. Um, really, we get along pretty good. I need to go visit Steel City Arsenal in Alabama next time I'm out there. I've been saying that for a couple of years, and I never seem to make it up north. I normally visit southern Alabama, but I need to go out there to Steel City. They've got some really good different parts. They, especially when the P80s were big, they're still big, but when they were bigger, they did some of the best magwells, or the best magwells, I thought, for the P80 system. They've got some excellent slides. Their triggers, I really like their triggers. The one thing about their triggers that never made them a big seller for me, from a mechanical aspect, they're awesome triggers. From an aesthetic standpoint, unfortunately, they're just a little bit plain. And in the fast-paced world of Glock builds, people want something that's just a little bit fancier. But from a mechanical aspect, probably some of my favorite. I like, of course, the set screw style pins, and just the overall design. They make some good stuff. I don't know how I got on the Steel City. Oh, they didn't want to work with me originally. All good, man. It's the first stream of our show. I'm putting content on my channel. It's a September stream. Okay, so I didn't miss anything new. Okay, well, that's good. And I'm still looking forward to going on your guys' show, so that'll be fun. And I'm looking forward to, maybe, we'll see. He's busy building new parts. I want to see if Brandon will come on this Sunday for Swimming with the Pontoon. We'll see if he's got some time. It's a little bit late to be asking him, but I'm kind of interested to try out this StreamYard system and multiple different people. This time I was able to get through without issues with my mic like last time. I know that was a bit of a mess. So far, no bots, which means I haven't blocked anybody tonight. That's a plus. So we're in a good place there. Okay. Another thing, just kind of one of these little topics that I might break off into another video, and that is striker springs on the Glock. There's a lot of misunderstanding when it comes to the Glock system in general. I know with P80s, especially, I would see people that were building P80s that they would talk about their trigger not working, and they would post pictures on the Facebook groups and whatnot, and then they would talk about how their trigger wasn't working and they didn't have their slide yet. So obviously, with the Glock trigger system, it's an entire system. You have to have the slide to work the trigger, because the striker lug interfaces with the cruciform on the trigger bar and pushes the trigger forward. That's how the trigger moves forward, is the striker. Okay? So, in a manner of speaking, when you change your striker spring, you're changing how it interacts with the trigger bar. And you think, well, duh, that's why I put it in there, is so that I lower the weight of my trigger. And yes, that's true. But there's another thing that, combined with changing out to a lighter weight striker spring, what it can do, it is going to change the weight of your reset. Okay? Because you have less pressure on the striker itself, you have less pressure pushing forward on the trigger bar. So you will change the speed or the crispness of your reset. It is something to think about. The lower the weight of your striker spring, the less aggressive your reset will be. Each have two jobs. Yes, Stephen. Each of the springs have two different jobs. And that's why it's a system. If you throw something out of whack, you will notice it, and you might have to backtrack and find out what's going on. You may not know why it did one thing and another. So like I said, you're right. People do not always understand that. Let me read Angry Sarge's messages. Let me know if you want this angry guy to come on coming up. And now our show is Friday, 9 p.m. EST. So Eastern. Okay. So let me check. Let's Friday at 9 p.m. Friday. I may be able to catch that. I may actually be able to catch that. Okay. Now with the striker spring, now that you have added a lighter weight striker spring, whether it's the standard one that everybody grabs, which is the 4.5 pound, your factory one is a 5.5 pound. So you're lowering that weight by a full pound, which doesn't sound like a lot. But then people will get a 6 pound. The factory trigger spring, the one that goes on the trigger bar to the trigger block housing, is a factory is 5 pound. Okay. Well, then you get an overpowered one, which is a 6 pound. Again, a pound. But now you've reduced the striker spring a pound, and you've reduced the trigger spring a pound. Now that trigger spring pulls back on, well, not reduce. You've overpowered the spring that pulls back on the trigger bar, and you've underpowered the spring that pulls forward on the trigger bar. Okay. Combined, you now have an even slower reset. Okay. So by adding both of those springs, you have a lighter trigger, but you also have a sleepy or a lazy reset if you're not careful. That doesn't even get into messing with anything, talking about light primer strikes or anything like that. So now you've got a trigger that's lighter, but it resets even slower. So really, one thing that I like to do is, one, I really don't recommend the 4.5 pound striker spring. It can cause trouble, especially in any way, shape, or form. I do not recommend it for a gun that you plan on carrying, because to make it reliable, you need to lighten the striker itself, or just use really good ammunition and just take that one out to the competitive range. That's really where the 4.5 pound, just leave it for the range. Don't bring it or put it into your EDC Glock. Kind of the middle range between those two is the 5 pound. It's a 1/2 pound lighter than factory. That one is kind of the sweet spot. That is really the sweet spot that I have found that I am the most happy with. Okay. In my competition trigger system, my competition spring kit, I do send out the 4.5 pound and the 6 pound springs. Okay. That's for tuning, for somebody that's going to take a competition system and tune it further to their demands. But for an actual carry, that's why it's called competition. It's really not meant for the street. I do have a carry spring kit, which comes with the 5 pound spring. And again, your best bet is to leave the 5 pound spring in the trigger. Leave that one alone. Okay. And you can change to a 5 pound striker spring, and things will be fairly happy. They'll be happy. Okay. Or you can change the trigger spring and leave the 5.5 pound striker spring, and it will lower the trigger up not quite half a pound, and you will still have a good clean reset. Now, there are a couple other things that go into reset in how that reset feels and how loud it is and that sort of thing. But when it comes to the striker spring, that is one key thing that most people don't realize is when you change that striker spring, it does change your reset characteristics. And it can also change how your trigger responds in reset when it comes to whether it's going to go binary or not. Trigger tuning is an art, and it's something that when you change one thing, you may have to change something else. So if you've got a factory striker and you have tuned that thing using my instructions on here on YouTube, and you've got it tuned perfect, but then you go change that striker spring, you better test it before you go take it out to the range. Put that magazine in with a snap cap so that that gun is in operating condition. This is a vital piece of information. This is something that most people don't realize when it comes to dry fire and testing and troubleshooting. When you have a Glock and you want to dry fire and you want to do some troubleshooting, take a magazine, an empty magazine, put one snap cap in it. Okay? Then insert that in the pistol. Now your gun is in true operating condition. The difference is because Glocks have some tolerance and some wiggle, without that magazine in place and without that round in there, your slide actually sits down lower. Some Glocks are going to sit down quite a bit lower. Some are going to be built really tight, and it's not going to make much of a difference. But it does for a general overall overview. This is a major key that most people don't understand. And like I said, once you tune it and you're checking for that cruciform interface, the same thing applies. Do that because that puts it in actual operational configuration. Let me catch up on chat real quick. Steven, they started fighting each other and changed the timing of the gun too much. Correct. Timing of the gun. I don't often use that definition, but that is the correct term. Tiger Rag says, yeah, I'd rather have a slightly heavier trigger, tune travel, and forceful reset. It is the way. And I definitely agree with that. Timney, looking at you, bud. For carry, I just stick with OEM trigger and striker springs. I will usually put a lightened striker block spring, though, to help better engage it with the extension. Yes, the striker, the safety plunger spring. Yes, that's a good easy one. I need to talk about that on one of the other streams. That makes the trigger slightly heavier too. I'm not sure if you're talking about the striker plunger, Tiger Rag, in your last comment there. Yes, that will also. We can talk a little bit about the striker, the safety plunger spring, and this is something that makes a difference when it comes to the way a trigger feels is the profile on that trigger bar, which is probably one of the reasons why people talk about how much crisper, which is a word that kind of bothers me. Talk about their crisp trigger. Me ranting again, sorry, is because of the profile of not only the safety plunger, but the vertical extension on the trigger bar itself. Because of the way they engage each other, basically a flat slope with one another, it does feel more direct or crisp, if you will, than the safety plunger on a Generation 3 or Generation 4 or older, which has a little bit more of a curve to it. And then the safety plunger itself has a little bit of a curve. So you're actually going to feel more on the older ones, you're going to feel more of a rolling resistance before the trigger breaks versus the Generation 5, which because of the geometry feels a bit more direct or crisp, if you will. And that's why you'll see on some of your higher end aftermarket triggers where they've actually changed the profile on that, which is one of the differences between my competition level systems where I do profile changes, and then you've got my drop ins where I don't change the profile. That's one of the differences there. And again, that can change the brake characteristics enough from a little bit more of a rolling brake feeling, just a little bit of the edge, to something that's a bit crisper, more competition glass wall brake style. Okay, safety plunger. Um, okay, well if that answers your question, I will save more of a conversation on safety plungers and their springs for another stream. It's it's an interesting part because I also want to go into um, the vertical extension and different troubleshooting aspects when it comes to that. Because again, with all the different configurations of Glocks and Glock clones and P80s and that sort of thing, you're going to run into some interesting things that can happen there. And even with factory components, you might actually have to do a little bit of Dremel work, or as I recommend, like a jeweler's file or something, so that you don't take off too much material on that vertical extension. Or you can just let it wear in, and you might wear into your Glock slide or through the Cerakote. But like I said, that's another deep dive that we'll go into in another day. Kind of back to the striker spring, kind of what I was talking about when you tune your gun. If you use my instructions and you tune it, and then you change something like a striker spring, which you wouldn't think would make a difference, if you have the striker lug to cruciform interface kind of on the edge, you can actually run into a binary condition with a lighter striker spring versus the heavier one, or a heavier trigger spring versus the lighter one, because of the different tensions that are now being held on that trigger bar that you've changed those now. So that tune is no longer accurate. Again, going back to like cars, when you change something, let's say, we'll go back even more old school car wise. If you've got an old Chevy Camaro with a 4-barrel carburetor, maybe a quadra-junk, and you remove the factory exhaust manifolds, cast iron manifolds, and you put on a long tube pair of headers, that changes the fueling requirements for that engine, because it allows more air to move through that engine. And with an engine, more air means you need more fuel, or it's going to run lean. So something as simple as changing those headers out means you have to tune that carburetor. Same type of deal with a Glock. You are basically you're becoming a Glock tuner. You're a race builder, if you will, when you start messing with that sort of thing. So even a drop in, like I said before, even a drop in can benefit greatly from a little bit of tuning. And that's why I did my video on tuning a Glock trigger, even a drop in. And it might be beneficial to the point where you don't need to, let's say you already have a trigger that you like the looks of. If you tune it, you may not need to buy something from me. And I'm okay with that, because one, you've learned a lesson. You've become happy with your gun, and I taught you something. And then maybe when you buy another one, you can come to me directly, and we'll get you set up a little bit better right out of the box. That's just my little sales pitch, if you will. So yeah, that's kind of a I wouldn't call it quick, and it is somewhat basic, but it's some good information on changing out striker springs and trigger springs, how it can change things. If you're listening and maybe you learned something, hit that like button. Maybe subscribe if you're not already. Let's grow this channel. I know I am definitely on a push to get the Tactical Pontoon channel where it needs to be. I want to be able to reach more people and teach people things that maybe they didn't know, or just take the mystery out of the Glock system. It is a simple system. It really is a simple system, but there are nuances to it that you can change and maybe cause yourself problems, or maybe uh, you've cleaned your gun and now it doesn't work the same way. uh, I run into this one a lot, is people will clean their guns and then they will forget to oil them or grease them, whichever your lubricant of choice is on the Glock. Should be Badger Snot on the website, $5 for a vial that will last quite a long time. It's my favorite. I used to have Badger Butter, changed over to the Badger Snot. I like it better. Badger Butter was good. Now we're over to Badger Snot, and it's even better. The reason why I changed from that one to the Badger Snot is because I am down south. It's a little bit warmer down here than it is in other parts of the country, and the Badger Butter was a little bit thicker, and in colder climates, some people would complain just to how thick it was. So we went to the Badger Snot, and it's good for everywhere. Maybe not Antarctica, but I haven't tested that. So there it is. OZ9, yes. I tell you, I'm tempted. They've got the OZ9 chassis on sale currently. The only problem is they want like $70 for shipping. And Zev, for the love of God, it doesn't cost $70 to ship that thing. Why? And it's one of the reasons why I haven't bought one. I watched them on Black Friday sale and I almost bought it. I may still go ahead and do it. I'm not going to buy their slide. That doesn't interest me in any way, shape, or form. But I do want to get one of the chassis and just one of the grip modules. Somebody posted today. Oh, actually, it was you, MR2, that they've got Icarus is going to be doing. There's a 15% code. Well, I may take you up on that, Steven. If it works, because it's already on sale at Zev. I don't know if the code would work, because I do want to get a hold of one of those. They are pretty neat. They're ugly as hell. The grip module is ugly as hell. But if Icarus is putting one out, OZ9 frame or Shadow Systems. I'll tell you, the Shadow System, I like it. The Shadow System's polymer. The OZ9 has a polymer grip module, but it actually has a stainless steel frame. So the trigger system and the trigger block are in a solid steel frame. The ones I've played with, they're pretty nice. Like I said, the grip module was ugly, but I will send that off to a polymer wizard to make that look better, and then I'll choose a slide for it. So I'm interested in, like I said, in doing that. On anything on sale. Yeah. Right now they're on sale. And maybe it's just maybe it's one of their, raise the price up and then throw their normal price on sale. I haven't checked on one like lately. So the price they have for $350 is not bad for just the module or just the frame assembly, or the chassis assembly, and then the module's like $50 or $60. So I'm tossing it around. I'd like to get one dedicated to the shop instead of using other ones. So I might. I also looked, because I had planned on buying the aluminum frame from what is that company in Florida? Oh man, they had Freedom. Let me look at the phone real quick. I should be able to pull that up, because they were selling the frames by themselves, but it looks like that option is no longer Alpha Foxtrot, I believe is what it was. Was it Alpha Foxtrot? Doesn't sound like it. I think it was Live Free. it was Live Free Armory. I believe it was Live Free Armory. They have their Glock frame and then their Glock pistol, and they had an option on the website to get on a pre-order for those for their next shipment, and that seems to have disappeared. I was on the list. I was waiting for an email, but it seems like they're no longer selling the frames by themselves anymore, just the pistol. So I'm probably just, it's no longer available, and I don't want to buy the entire pistol. So I'll probably order the Zev and AMP AFs. Yeah. Hey Renee, how we doing? It's okay. You can always go back and watch. I'm almost about to wrap it up for tonight for Wildcard Wednesday. You're actually not late. I was early. I'm still figuring out the schedule of all the live streams and trying to fit them in the other parts of my existence. And I also, you probably can't notice this, but normally I try to shave and be a little bit more presentable, but I did not do so tonight because I'm a bum. So, if you were here for my clean shaven boyish looks, kind of rough and scruffly tonight. So I'll look at it. I may just go ahead and order the OZ9 just so I've got one. Like I said, maybe I might just buy the chassis and see if I can get the grip. I'm kind of a cheap bastard sometimes, especially when I've got other things I got to do. But I do want to get a hold of one to play with one, maybe throw it on stream, or maybe I'll borrow one. I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, what else? What is there anything else we want to talk about before I wrap it up for tonight? It was I had a good time. Even though I did not have everything that I wanted to share, the triggers, like I said, aside from waiting for those triggers, I'm waiting for trigger parts for orders that I've got going on. That's been kind of fun. This time of year, it's kind of to be expected. Waiting on a ton of different connectors for Peacemaker 3.5 systems. And Peacemaker 3.0 systems, they use the same one. The 4.5 systems, if you ordered a Peacemaker 4.5, that thing is in the mail. It's been shipped out already. The 3.5s, I should have either before the end of the week, they should ship out, or early next week. So I just ran out of some of the connectors, and the supply was supposed to show up before the end of last week, but with the holiday, it kind of threw things off. But anyways. Can I get something in blue for a Peacemaker system? Chris, I don't have blue. What generation? Are we looking at? I don't remember. I think there might. Let me check here on the Peacemaker. I don't remember blue being an option. I order. Let's see here. Let me take a look. SCT frame Gen 3. Okay. All right. Let me see. I don't remember if blue is one that they've got available. And currently, I'm not anodizing in-house. I actually have a setup that I need to complete. Yeah, blue, unfortunately, is not a color that I have. I used to have blue available in the Boogeyman customs, but they just didn't sell a whole bunch of blue, and so they stopped doing blue where I would offer that. Yeah, I really don't have anything blue available. I don't have anything that's got the rainbow PVD style look. Unfortunately, right now, I kind of got your basic colors. The Peacemaker, like I said, I've got it in black or the FDE, especially in Generation 3. I do have the FDE, but only kind of in limited colors. I am planning on getting an anodizing system set up here at the shop so that I can offer a few more colors, but I have not yet had a chance to get it fully set up and start doing my testing. The thing with anodizing, if you're not careful, and having dealt with different companies in the past that had not so good quality, you would run into different shades, some really crazy shades. I would order red and end up with a bunch of pink ones from them. So that will be something that's going to take a while, probably spring of next year before I really start offering anything custom anodized here. So right now, blue is just kind of, it's not really something I've got. I could look at, and I hate doing this because it adds some time to it, would be having one custom Cerakoted. But again, you are looking at some extra time, at least 2 or 3 extra weeks. So, like I said, if you really don't like any of the colors on the website, get with me, send me an email from the website, and maybe we could look at, like I said, it's going to take some extra time, and it does cost money to have it Cerakoted. So, it's just an unfortunate thing. Like I said, hopefully springtime next year, I should be able to do some more custom, or I should be able to do some custom anodized color, and that will open up some doors. And then the other thing is, if you can check out the TWP triggers. They've got a couple of different odd colors. They got pink. That's kind of neat. Probably don't want pink on your gun, and I can't blame you. So yeah. Renee, yes, the Peacemaker 3.5. It's a great system. It's kind of one of my earlier systems, just adapted to the Peacemaker. So aside from a few little differences, that's actually one of my earlier competition systems. So you're getting an awesome deal on that guy. It's a beautiful system. The Peacemakers for the drop-ins, I am happy with them. I am very happy with the Peacemaker drop-in systems. I'm happy with the TWP, really happy with the Peacemakers, and it's something that I'm glad to put my name on. Even having my competition and Leonidas systems available. I do like my drop-ins. So, all right, guys. I've been rambling for about an hour. Hopefully, we'll either have a guest on Sunday, or I will have some stuff to show you. So I look forward to seeing you guys there on Swimming with the Pontoon this Sunday. Should be right around 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, and we'll catch you there. So until then, if you got anything, oh yeah, Chris, the Tyrant shoe. I've got one of those coming. I want to talk about those. They've got some interesting marketing jargon that they threw on it, and I know a few things about trigger design, and I've looked at the trigger online, but I'm going to get one in hand. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about their marketing. There's definitely better out there. It's all right for the price. It's a little bit pricey for what it is, but as it is, I will catch you guys next time on Tactical Pontoon. If you haven't, I'm going to say it. If you haven't, subscribe, hit that like button. Just it feeds the algorithm, keeps the channel growing. And like I said, I'm going to grow this channel. I want to be able to get out there teaching people about Glocks, because there's a lot of misinformation out there, and it's about time I dispel some of that. Anyways, I'll catch you next time.